All right, traders, welcome to the first recap of the year. It is Wednesday, January 2nd, and this is Christian Promert of the Tribeca Trade Group. So, busy day going on today in the market. Another really nice tradable range. We've been getting these pretty frequently over the last couple weeks. Some really nice ranges to trade. This was a little bit different this morning. We, came in and we were down I thought a little bit too much. As normal, what we do in the pre-market session at Tribeca Trade Group is we go over the international market moves, and usually we do move obviously with what global markets are doing, but Europe wasn't down that much. Europe was down. Euro stocks were down about like 60, 70 basis points, and of course China was down. But they weren't down as much as Nasdaq was down. The Nasdaq was down over 2% going into the open. So I had said that it was one of the things that I pointed out was, and why I started buying right on the open was because I thought we were down a little bit too far. And now I didn't think that we would get as powerful as, I will always tell you what I thought positively and negatively because I played some things and I took them off in the first, in the first half hour, first 45 minutes because they worked. And we got more, of a powerful rally than I thought was going to take place. But so let me start with. Yeah, I mean, we'll start with a couple of things that I did today. I mean, I traded a lot of things today, and some of which I was out of pretty quickly. So the Qs were the first thing that I bought today. I want to talk a little bit about the technicals in the Qs and IWM and SPY. So, I'm not going to make too much. I'd rather go over the technicals and talk about my trade in my day trade in the Qs. But mission accomplished. I made some money in that. A number of other trades too as well worked out for me. So I had a pretty good day trading. But so we're doing a webinar tomorrow. It's going to be a member-only webinar tomorrow, just on what I set out to members yesterday and going into a little bit more in depth. I didn't really go into the technicals that deeply in what I sent out in terms of thoughts, game plan, strategy for 2019. So I'm going to get more into that tomorrow. But what I touched upon in what I sent out yesterday was just, we've bounced, right? 1224 was marked basically the low. Some things went a little bit lower on 1226, but 1224 and then 1226 is basically where we retook. You can see this yellow line that I have on my charts. It's the 5-period exponential moving average. It's a very short-term moving average, but it really helps to be a guide for me. Once we went below the 5-period moving average here, that was a great place in hindsight 2020 to kind of stay short because price never got back above it until 1226. So now that we're back above that yellow line and we're below all of the other moving averages, it's pretty simple. I think I tend to try to make things in trading as simple as possible because a lot of times you're getting, if you're on Twitter, if you're watching financial media, you're going to get hit with all sides of analysis, and a lot of people make great points. It doesn't mean that just because you make a great point, it doesn't necessarily mean that the price is going to follow what point you made. So there's a ton of people making great points on Twitter, but listen, I just want to basically follow price. So right now we're bouncing, and I said this morning, because I just sent this note out yesterday, and I said, hey, watch if we go back below what I was saying, which was the 5-period moving average. If we break back below it, then the bounce is kind of over for the short. And again, this is very short-term, indicator, but it's very simple, and we actually stayed above it. So Qs are back above it. And I'll continue to play this bounce. Nobody knows how long this bounce is going to last. Some people think it's 1 or 2 more days because of the so-called Santa Claus rally. I don't really care what it does, but I'll stay long, or I'll have a longer bias as long as we stay back above this. The price is above this yellow line, and let it go wherever it wants to go. Now, at some point, we're going to be met with overhead resistance. I would imagine that's going to come into play, but nobody knows if we're going to have a W here and come back and retest the lows, or if we're going to have a V. There's nothing really that's going to tell you that. So that, I mean, I will just continue to follow price and be very disciplined. If we start to break and go lower, then that's my cue to kind of get out of some positions, and of course break, taking targets all along the way, whether I'm in a index or whether I'm in sectors or single stocks. It's the same process. As long as you're following price, in my opinion, and knowing where to exit the trade upon your entry, upon once you get into the trade, right? So this way you're not making any emotional decisions. It's when you break it down like that, and kind of weed out the noise. It's a lot simpler than that. You can make it a lot simpler than it really has to be. The other thing that I'm noticing here on the Qs chart is we got an MACD crossover. That might help as well. So let me start to go over. I'll go back to the S&P, and then we'll talk about a bunch of different things today. Now that we're about 5 minutes into the video, so yeah, so SPY, I'll use same thing here. We almost have an MACD crossover. Same thing, prices above the 5-period moving average. SPY just finished in the green, up 10 basis points. So again, a great range. I'm going to talk about today's performance. IWM outperformed. I think and you could see that this, you get the first bar actually of the MACD crossover, right? So that's some good things. Again, eventually we're going to be hit with overhead resistance, but we'll see where this takes us. Crude, let's talk a little bit about that. That was a mover today. Was everything bright today? No, not necessarily. But crude ended up. It did not finish on the highs, but really gave a big move to oil and gas stocks today. I'll talk about that in just a second. On the flip side, copper was kind of bothering me a little bit today. But again, I don't really have anything in the metal space, but copper usually is a good indicator for global growth. I mean, this doesn't look too great to me. So we'll have to kind of watch the lows in copper as, one of those, outside the lines indicators, because, I don't really trade copper, but I just think it's an indirect indicator. So performance, right? We'll start to look at this. Why I think these days again are just great to day trade. You don't have to go long if you don't want to at the end of the day, or you don't have to carry a lot of positions with this type of move that we're seeing. Looking at the index, so this is the percentage from the open, not the overall percentage, right? So the Qs just finished up. The Qs just finished up 40 basis points, but look at the intraday move. So like I said, we started down over 2%. So, but again, look at the intraday. The reason why I've been doing this exercise, we're looking at the performance from the open, is because these moves are ginormous. Look at the XOP from the open, up 5%. There was a beauty of an option. I did not take this trade. It was one of the first trades that went up during the day. There was a bunch of spreads, but let's see if I can find the. There was a nice sweep that happened in the XOP, literally like 5 minutes after the open. Here it is, right here, and it was 9:35. 5,000 of the Feb 28 calls going up above the ask were swept. $400,000 trade. I'm sure these guys made some nice money on today because, again, it moved 5% from basically where they purchased them. All the other energy followed there, was up strongly today. And then, of course, I think that there is a correlation right now between energy and banks. I think people are worried about what energy exposure the banks have. So look at KBE from the open. Which is the all banks ETF, that was up 3%. KRE, same thing, 2.9%. And then if you look at, why I like today, and I was very pleased at what we saw today, but there was a lot of groups participating. Even the home builders, which I don't have highlighted, were up 2.8% from the open. The FANG stocks had a huge day today. Semis continue to bounce. Let's look at a couple of these charts. And then I had further on that list, I had defenses, which it was not a defensive tape at all today. The FANG ETF, FDN, actually is back into the 20-day moving average, also an MACD crossover here. Let's look at the semi ETF, which has been showing quietly been showing some strength. That's also up at the 20-day moving average. So again, a lot of these look, some of these charts look pretty similar. We saw some nice option activity today. I participated in this one today, MRVL. So as I mentioned, and in the beginning of the video, where to if you take a trade, you have to know where you're going to get out of it. So if this trade doesn't work, and we've certainly seen some fake outs where things have gotten over the 50-day moving average, which is the purple line on my chart, and then we had a fake out and it got back below, which I'll show you the casinos next. But right now, MRVL is out of this this downtrend channel. So I'll play that. I'm looking. I see this version point of control up at 1830. That's my ultimate target in this. Maybe I'll take another target if possible, maybe at the bottom of value over here. But that's where I'm looking to get results. Would be 1835 would be where I'm looking to get out of this trade. But and if it doesn't work, 1605 top of value, which coincides with the 50-day moving average. Perfect. That's my stop, and that's it. That's all that I really, need to do with that, and just kind of monitor. I've got both a target out, and I've got my my stop limit order out. Not a hard limit, but actually just or an order, I should say, just an alert that will let me know that we're going to cross below 1605. All right, so a couple other names. Tesla, I just wanted to show because this was a great use of the Virgin point of controls. Tesla came out with their sales this morning. I tweeted this out. You could go back and reference that tweet, but I said, right when the stock was here, and we had a couple of people who were actually looking to play Tesla, and I was thinking the same thing, and I said, ooh, look, we got two VPOCs below. And once they're taken out, then the lines don't go further anymore. Just like up here, right? We haven't taken these out, but I would not play anything until we took these two out. And then look at the reversion that we got from 300 all the way back up to 310. The close, it actually hit 314 earlier. But what a great signal these Virgin point of controls are. Again, what are these? If you're not familiar, they're high levels of volume that price has never returned. It's almost like a gap. That's why it's called a Virgin point of control. And once you're out of range, these will often act as magnets, and price will gravitate down there, take them out. Not always. It's not always 100%. Nothing is 100%. But man, this happens a lot. Especially, there was two right here. We took out both of them and went higher. And again, if you think I drew these in or something like that, reference my tweet that I sent out around 10 o'clock this morning to illustrate that before those levels were, price was right here. So the casinos, next area. Las Vegas Sands. I played this name. Las Vegas Sands had a huge move today. We talked about this name pre-market. I thought the Macau numbers were great. And once we kind of had that first green bar, I went into Las Vegas Sands, and I just purchased stock in this. But I think this is another one that may have some continuation after a monster day. And again, the Macau numbers were fabulous. So the casinos have been moving with China. There's been a correlation with them because they do have a lot of business in Macau. But you could see here was the first. This was the false move over the 50. We got it again. So you just have to, if you played this and you did this correctly and you got out, you had a small loss at the break of the 50-day moving average, and now you could try it again, because really nobody knows. Nobody knows if this thing is going to break back below the 50 and will be a fake move, or it could have a nice strong move to it with a nice MACD crossover. And I would rather play with giving it a shot and having that stop right below. And that's what trading's all about. Okay, next. We talked about the casinos. I talked about, I don't think I brought the chart. Yes, I did the chart of MRVL. We talked about XOP. We talked about the percentage movers today. Yeah, just to kind of round this up, the FANG names also performed really well. I mentioned the defensives weren't in play at all today. XLV also a defense, considered defensive healthcare, that underperformed as well. But XLU was finished lower by 1.3% from the open. Take a look at the performance of some of the FANG stocks. Both Facebook and Amazon took off. Let's just look at the Amazon chart. That also, very similar to that FTN that I looked at, but back above the 20-day moving average. And it really helps. What I've been doing as well is looking for these setups on the 1 hour chart. Notice we got back above. I know some people were looking at this in terms of an inverted head and shoulders type pattern. For me, 1492 is your support, and you could try long versus that, the 1492. A couple other names that caught my eye today, and names that we've been talking about. Brazil had a huge move today. How nice does this chart look, by the way? Really nice move back above. It was kind of had this nice move, almost did like a bull flag, but really kind of fell apart a little bit too much. But right back to where it was. So I would say, same thing, a long versus 50-day moving average support, which is about $1.60 down. I think would make sense for that EWZ position, EWZ Brazil ETF. A couple other positions we saw late in the day. Dollar Tree. This was a chart that I sent out to members a couple days ago. Let me see. I should have the charts up here. Yeah, these are the setups. Keep in mind, I don't post a lot of what we're talking about in the trading room. Um, it's just not fair to members, so I just don't post a lot of that. WWE is a name that I've been watching, but I talked about this the other day. Or actually, I posted this last night. Dollar Tree. Here was here. Oh, here was the Tesla V before the analysis before those VPOCs were taken out. So go ahead and watch those. But we put a ton of things. Gilead. Keep in mind, I can't play every name, but I thought there's a lot of setups. Gilead, which we saw some February, March calls today. Notice this is going up to the VPOC. AGN is a name that I played today. Allergan. Why did I do that? Well, the daily chart looks pretty messy, but if you look at the 1 hour chart, you can come up with a couple targets. This right when I caught it right here, coming out of the value area, as well as the 50-period moving average on the 1 hour chart. Here's your support, 132.80, and I'm targeting 142 up here, and probably taking a few targets along the way. I'm in March AGN calls. So that's about it. I think we kind of covered everything. The option activity was pretty good today. Oh, that's not the option activity. Right? So you can see there is, it was pretty active. I'm probably missing a couple puts in here. But there's a nice little order here in J and K at the end of the day as well. March 34 calls for 30 cents. That's That's another high yield bond ETF. I think that's good risk to reward. 34 is only about, I think, 30 cents away in that stock. Where's J and K? J and K is priced at 33.55. So so it's about 45 cents away for paying 30 cents for that. If you think that the high yield market is going to bounce back a little bit, a couple other trades, a lot of small energy trades, short term. I did not play any of these. Arconic, we saw a nice block of calls that went up. Apollo said that they're getting close to a deal. I believe that headline came out after those calls were bought. That was this morning. Box, we caught that one as well. I participated pretty small in boxes. There was some chatter, and then there was a call buyer that came in after that, doing the same thing we were doing. Applied Materials, some January 220 calls going up, or 2020, I should say. So that's it. Video is about 20 minutes, but I think that again, I'm going to talk more about 2019 in tomorrow's member only call, and a lot to go over there. But I think keeping your process as simple as possible. There's a lot of noise out there, right? So even it helps to kind of shut the TV off a little bit and just kind of concentrate on the prices on your page on your screen. All right, guys. So that is it. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.